again. I know we've had some more changes here today in the House of Representatives. They are slowly funneling their way in to cast their votes, and then the bill will go on to the Senate, and I'm sure a few things will get removed. So I wanted to give you an update on the HEROES Act, which is this next stimulus package. That 1,815 pages that has been brought to the table. Now I understand our news gives us a lot of the negatives of what's in this new bill. Cannabis is mentioned a bunch of times and all those things, but I wanted to touch on the positive things that are in this new bill, and hopefully when it goes to the next phase in the Senate that those positive aspects of this bill stay, and then some of the negative ones or controversial ones get pulled out so it can help the people of America who need it so much. I have found 16 ways, positive ways, that this bill is helping Americans later this month. Now, number one is state and local tax deduction lifted for 2020 to 2021. Now, this is going to drastically help people who pay real estate taxes and people who live in high tax state. And this can be found on page 224. I will also include a link of the bill, so if you want to go check it out yourself and reference the pages I'm going to give, then you can see it. It's a lot to wade through. I wanted to give you a quick update. Number two, $10 billion on the EIDL grants. Okay, that's on page 42. And the CARES Act originally said it was supposed to be up to $10K per business, and we all know the SBA improvised and did $1K per employee. So hopefully with this additional funds, maybe business owners will get a little bit more money on the grant portion, or more businesses will actually receive grant money. I know a lot of us out here still haven't received that advance or anything from their EIDL grant. Number three is also on page 42, and that's more money for the EIDL loan portion. You need to understand that the loan, the interest rate, heavily discounted. It is a good rate loan for those of you looking for loans as business owners. Hopefully that additional funding will provide businesses with more funds, or at least get more funds out to businesses. Number four, that's on page 236, employee retention payroll tax cut. Before it was just a $5K, now it's been bumped up to $15K. Everyone who pays this tax, it's at 15.3% of payroll taxes. Basically for every $50K, $760 of that percent of 50Ks now be a tax credit. Number five, which is on page 739, increase of food stamp benefits called SNAP. So you'll get a 15% increase on your food benefits. Number six is on page 1046, and this is for student loan forgiveness. This is for private student loans. Nothing on the federal side. The federal loans have done a freeze and are at 0%. Number seven is on page 682, extension of pandemic pay for unemployment benefits. That $600 a week getting extended to the end of the year or March 31st, depending on when you originally applied. I would also like to note that if you haven't gotten your retroactive pay, that you should definitely push to get that, claim that. And if you are unemployed and have no money coming in, you should also apply for your unemployment benefits through your state. Number eight is hazard pay, and that is called in the bill on page 1550, pandemic premium pay. Now this will give a $13 boost per hour up to $10K, unless you are someone with a premium work. Possibly, I'm thinking a doctor, get a $5K boost. Be sure to look at page 1550 to get the more detailed legal verbiage on what it all means. And number nine is child and daycare for frontlines. This would be a credit or kind of a rebate I spent like 20-30 minutes trying to find this section. I know it's in there, I just can't find it. This place called National Nurses United, they go over this in depth. So check out their website. They'll be able to help you fully understand that if this circumstance applies to you and if this bill gets through. Number 10 would be low income tenants, and that's on page 134. This is helping homeless assistant grants. They go farther into that. Then page 136, it talks about emergency rental assistance. And on page 137, it talks about projected base rental assistance, which is area specific and isn't very clear in the bill on how it's defining the areas. These are all very important because we need to help rehome homeless people and those who are on lower income for their state. You will be getting rental assistance through the entire year. Also, I would check with your state housing authority because they are probably going to be the ones handling that. Number 11 is on page 961 and 962. No eviction for 1 year for non-payment. This is a huge thing. You need to be sure that you negotiate with your landlord. You can't just say, hey, I'm not going to pay and I'm not going to talk to them. You really need to have a conversation and negotiate this with your landlord so they understand what circumstance you're in. And also, you need to know that if this bill goes through and this rule becomes true, you also need to know that just because you have a lease with your landlord and let's say you get it negotiated out with them that you can't pay for however said long, you can't break other rules in your contract and think you can't get evicted for it. They can evict you for other rules in your contract if you break it, just not this one if the bill goes through. Number 12, that would be on mortgage forbearance for 1 year. It's on a couple pages because mortgage forbearance is a very deep topic. I have 2 videos on this, one with my actual lender who really breaks down the loss mitigation on how they currently are handling it. In the last CARES Act bill, they didn't define how the lump sums and how those months of payments being forgiven could be worked into your loan or how they should be paid back. With the loss mitigation for a lot of the banks, they were going to do kind of a sliding scale thing where at the end of, let's say 6 months you don't pay, well 6 months now you owe that lump plus all the taxes plus all the insurance and possibly penalties or fees. And then if you couldn't do that and you couldn't afford, which most people won't, then they would slide you down to another option and another option and another option. That was something that people were very worried about in the CARES Act, and those who took forbearance was, is this going to cause me to go into foreclosure? I have another video you can check out. I'll provide it in the link, and you can get a deeper dive of how it currently is going right now. If this new bill gets through, then the new rules will be in place and it'll be more favorable for homeowners. Big section. It's basically from 964 to 981. Additional information put in about not being able to change your monthly payment, not being able to increase your monthly payment. Also, there is a interesting clause in there saying that your lender may forgive your insurance and your property taxes, because what happens is some people, depending on what type of loan you have, in your mortgage, they have rolled in your property taxes and your insurance. If you don't pay on these payments for 6 months, then who's paying the property taxes and insurance? Well, it also says in this new bill that the lender will need to basically front those payments. So that is also a very important thing in this new bill that would make a huge difference for a lot of homeowners. They also included in that section a portion just for how the banks can be reporting you to the credit bureaus. I know currently they can add in that little note saying that you're in forbearance, and that negatively affected quite a few people's credit scores by dropping them sometimes 30 points. This will be a great addition for homeowners who are taking forbearance if this bill goes through, so it doesn't negatively impact their credit scores. Number 13, this is on page 160, and this is another stimulus check for everyone, which would be $1,200 per person up to $6K. And you could claim up to 3 dependents. Number 14, which is on page 150, is retroactive $500. So on the last stimulus check, if you weren't able to claim all your dependents, or you are a dependent and the person who claims you couldn't claim you, you can get that retroactive $500 you should have gotten the first round of checks. And number 15, which provides deductions up to $500 for the first responders, which is highly important. They reference that on page 226, and it also gives a list of those expenses on page 162. Number 16, page 225, $250 deductions for teachers with supply costs. Now, I know that was a lot of information. This bill has a lot of other things in it that are a little bit controversial, so it will be interesting to see how it ends today, Friday the 15th, and if the House of Representatives will get it voted through, and then it will be off to the Senate, and we'll see how chopped apart this bill gets, if it will make it to the president's table. I appreciate you guys always tuning in, giving me support, likes, subscribes. I appreciate it, and I look forward to giving you a new update soon about everything real estate, financial, and the shit on my channel. Bye.